The story starts off with two students talking in front of the school gate, as we see some military trucks pass by, with high school kids on them. We then learn that some years ago, a planet had exploded and some parts of it had reached Earth and fused with it. 17% of Earth was affected, and with that new creatures were born. As time went by with humans losing control over Earth, they thankfully managed to evolve, and be able to fight these monsters, with each having special abilities. And to gain control again, they created a special group of people known as adventurers, to go to dungeons where these monsters are, and fight them. And because of this, organizations focused on training adventurers, were created. And one of the best in Korea is called Warrior High School. The place where these kids go to school. We also see a half-elf sitting on the trucks, and we learn that humans and elves have teamed up, and some have even married each other and have mixed-blooded children. As the boys are talking, another kid appears, Yu Jar-young. They ask him to go with them to karaoke, but he says that he needs to go to work. He goes under an abandoned metro station. And there we meet his boss, Im Jae-hwa, with his client, who isn't happy after seeing that Jar-young is a kid. Jar-young then starts offending his bodyguard, who's an adventurer, trying to start a fight so he can prove he is capable. It works as Lee Pil-gyu wants the fight as well. We then start on chapter 2 where we learn about dungeon smuggling. A normal adventurer would go in a dungeon, and if they manage to survive and come back with loot. The loot is given for inspection, since if they find a weapon or something that's too powerful, it could be dangerous to let loose for anyone to have it, and they also gave some of the loot as tax payment. But a smuggler doesn't do that, they are basically tax evaders. As they are getting ready to fight, the client is scared for the kid, and says that Pil-gyu is a retired adventurer, and it isn't because of an injury, but because he assaulted his teammates. Pil-gyu then says that they were trash and he was simply disposing of them. And Jar-young makes fun of him, calling him a trash disposal. The man gets angry and tries to hit the boy, who dodges it, and gives him a kick in the face. The guy then jumps back, surprised, and sees that the kid had reached the domain of a pro, and that he wasn't fighting a child. He then gets serious, using his abilities called a tank. He jumps the kid, but he manages to dodge it. He tries to go after him, but the boy simply gets away. Jar-young then takes an iron stick, and uses it as a weapon. Pil-gyu jumps the kid again, but this time he swings the stick, and hits the man, knocking him down. Before he passes away though, he asks where he learned that move. He seems to recognize it, and the kid doesn't answer, but simply thinks that Pil-gyu might have seen his father use it. Chapter 3 then starts off as we see Jar-young walking through a corridor. He then opens a door, and sees his father called Yo-song, training. We learn that his father is one of the first adventurers, and that they were legends. Back then for adventurers, it was hell, since they had no information about the dungeons, or what kind of monster was waiting for them, and they still hadn't developed the skills they have today, so because of these harsh environments, they are known as heroes. And one of them was his father, who was nicknamed Dragon Slayer, since he was the first person to kill a dragon. But as we see him doing the same move the boy did to Pil-gyu, he starts spitting blood, and it turns out that he had a deadly poison on his body. After this, the people he trusted the most, had used his weak state, and taken everything from him. And after some years everyone had forgotten about him, the only thing left for him was his son. We go back, and see Jar-young's boss telling the client that he will have to pay more for the damages. After the client leaves, he asks Jar-young if he knows of something called an imperial wasp. The boy spits his drink, and asks that he doesn't have to fight that. We then get an explanation that this monster is one of the most dangerous ones on Earth. And that it had made its nest in the middle of Uedo. But according to his client, there was a secret raid with the government and 7 white-rank adventurers. They weren't able to eradicate the whole horde of monsters, but had managed to defeat the queen. But one of the adventurers had stolen the royal jelly, and hidden it away. Now he is hiring a smuggler like Jaryong to take it out of the dungeon. The boy asks what it is, and his boss explains that it is a nutritional supplement the wasps feed to a newborn queen, and that if a human eats it, they can come back from the dead. We then start chapter 4, as we see Jaryong, and his boss opening the gate to the dungeon. Before he goes in we learn that one of the subordinates had managed to move royal jelly out of the danger zone to a much safe one, but they had lost contact with him after this. Jaryong jumps in thinking that all the monsters in the forest are probably smelling it and going after it, as we see a huge footprint. We then go to a half-elf girl called Jean Sarum, running away from this huge monster. She is trying to hide from it, while thinking about what is it doing in a place like this, and that the school had sent her to AD area, where weak monsters stay. The monster then finds her. We also learn that this monster is called a Titan ape. She tries to fight it, even through her most powerful attack, but the Titan simply dodges it. She starts running away scared for her life. We then start on chapter 5 as we see Jaryong stopping the monster. At first, he isn't able to do a thing to it, as it stands up, so he uses a tool to blind it. He then tells the girl she has some seconds to run away, and he starts running as well. She goes after him, and so he stops her as well. He asks what she is doing, and she tells him that she wants to thank him, and that she knows he is a smuggler and wants to give him a job. He tells her he isn't interested, and that if she tries to follow he will kill her. But she then shows him something that seemed like a necklace called In Kill's Blood. And explains that is as expensive as catching 5 smugglers. He then agrees, but the monster had recovered and is going after them again. He starts fighting it, and manages to defeat it with one strike. But he breaks his glasses which had the power to hide his identity, and the girl is surprised to see that he is her age, and this strong. Hope you all enjoyed the first 5 chapters. Make sure to leave a like, comment on what you think about it, and don't forget to subscribe, so you don't miss the other chapters. See you all, on the next video.